Hello, I'm Jneen, part of Automaphonica, and I made this track, Tread Tightly, and let's go over it together. So the inspiration for this track was a jazz tune that I've played a bajillion times, and that is, maybe if you're a jazz head, you've already clocked this, Footprints by one Wayne Shorter. I used to play that over and over and over and over again in high school. I was just like my stimming tune. I always sort of thought that the bridge was hard to play because it was dominant sevenths. Footprints has this chord progression that does this weird. It's a minor blues in C minor, and I just closed the piano before I started playing. It's a minor blues in C minor. With a weird turnaround. So it's got this like D7 to D flat 7 kind of turnaround. And I always sort of felt like it would be more natural if those were major sevenths, where it's like just a preference. So I often played them as major sevenths, and I never kind of made that chord progression into a tune until now. I think I just wanted to contrast what the previous song was doing by bringing my jazz influence to it. So I feel like that's one of the things that makes me a little bit unique among Automaphonica is the jazz vocabulary that I use. I was trying to transition, much like Papaya did, trying to transition from the previous track, which is very contrasting, by sampling it over and over. So you'll hear this little sample of Papaya's track. Actually, an old version of Papaya's track, because we were sort of doing this at the same time. So yeah, doing a lot of sampling, trying to get that sort of big reverby sound from Papaya's track and use it as sort of an impact sound in this track. One of the things I really like to do with bass lines recently, just have two instruments playing it. I know it sounds crazy, but like it's one of those things that just makes it feel a lot more dynamic to me to have two instruments trying to play the same. Not even, I mean, it is a bass line, but like it's not necessarily taking up the bass register, but like it is the bass line, right? And have it be slightly interpreted differently by each instrument. So you get kind of an amalgamation of something that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So there's no single instrument playing that whole thing. I really like, bass and piano kind of gent breakouts in jazz tunes, and like having this be sort of played together is great. Bassist friends, don't come for me. There's a bunch of breakbeats that come with renoise. They're really good. I think renoise might even be worth buying just for the samples. I like to keep it dancey, even though it's in 6 and then 5 for the turnaround. But it is, for all its weirdness, a 12-bar blues because I find that fun. The horn writing in here, did a little bit of variation on the melody and then played it in fourths. And to me, Footprints in particular is where I learned about fourths, where I learned to do the sort of McCoy Tyner, like, just like. And I would often play. Just play that whole melody in fourths and just like dissonance be damned, right? Like this here, when you're doing that, is quite dissonant, but it's like, it's fine. Like, if you don't linger on it and it's far enough apart, it's fine. And that motion of fourths was just like really, really drilled into my piano vocabulary very early on. So I use it a lot. You'll hear me go in a lot of solos because it's just me noodling. So did a little dual drum solo. I really like the idea of a drum solo playing over a gent ostinato pattern, right? It really feels like it allows the drummer to be a lot more creative with rhythms and things while not having to like keep laying down the beat by themselves because the bass and the piano are just laying it down so strongly. I did that in sort of a virtual way here, where I just have literally the amen break, and I take a little solo with it. And one of the things that I'm doing is just using very basic renoise stuff, the panning column, right? To like toss sounds out to the sides and make it sound really wild and digital, which is great for a solo. Just make it avant-garde. And then I bring the original break back here. Which one is this? This one is Bangy Drummer, which I think is a renoisification of one of the classic breaks. Of Funky Drummer, I believe. So we do another drum solo here. And then this, I ended up using basically everything I had in the renoise file because the original idea I had for the track was this bass line. And I just couldn't really like come up with a full idea just with this bass line. The loop was a little too short for me. You'll see that Bluto actually just took this bass line and ran with it in the next track, which I love. I just felt like after all this intensity, I wanted to like bring it back a little bit and just like have a nice chill little solo over a nice little bass line. And then Blue just picks it up and absolutely blows the walls down with it. So really, really happy about that. So when I am programming a drum part, if it's like a breakbeat especially, I'm making noises with my mouth. There's a sense of motion that's always kind of going on in my head, and a sense of setting up and landing stuff and like filling in space that like maps really, really well to programming breaks. That's just like always going in my brain. Yeah, and that's basically my track. I might be posting the renoise file at some point. As much of a mess as it is. But yeah, I really hope you listen. Automaphonica 1, Crash the Party, is out now on Bandcamp, especially if you want to help support the project. That would be lovely. Yeah, please give it a listen. And yeah, I'll see you around.